Hello and welcome for the fourth session of this entire series called Get Set and Goal. We are talking about running for a cause. What's the cause? What's the big picture that I'm talking about? What is it that I want to take you through? And hopefully, in the series of small conversations with you, I can guide you, I can help you reach out to the most amazing part where you know how to set your goals. Well, we are still on the first one. We did a blind spot. Now we're going into the second one, the pink one that you see on understanding and making a goal in our life as a priority. What did we do in the previous session? Oh, well, there were three very big components that I help you take you through that. And I hopefully you enjoyed those sessions. Number one, we counted the squares. And if you haven't counted, go back to the previous session. Make sure you do your doodling. Make sure you annotate or stop down, sketch on a piece of paper, but make sure you know what your big picture is. I spoke about one of my favorite stories, the story of Dawood alayhi salam, David and Goliath. And yes, there's a book that I refer to, and one of the small video blogs I made, I showed the Malcolm Gladwell book to you. And then we went all the way to Japan. And next week, again, we'll go to Japan, where we'll talk about this whole amazing fish transformation depending on the environment, the koi carp fish. Today, our session is called Running for Success. And I'll take you to the heats of Africa, to a small nation, Burundi, and we'll meet one of the most amazing heroes again who actually taught us what overcoming blind spot, overcoming obstacle is, and what it means to prioritize and see the big picture. The name is probably a tongue twister for a lot of it, but let's say easier one is Gilbert Tuhaboin. Who is Gilbert? Gilbert is an author, a runner, a motivational speaker, and someone who is a genocide survivor. What's a genocide? Genocide is when people fight each other, they want to kill each other. And if you look closely at the picture of Gilbert, you see the burn mark out here, right? You see the entire scars, which are a testimony to what he went through. So let's go back and understand where did Gilbert do, what did he do? Thank you, Zainab. Thank you. Close the door, Mama's talking. We are talking about a very simple lesson that we learned from Gilbert, and that is a beautiful story of this young man who did not give up. Gilbert Tuhaboin, the only passion, the only goal that he knew was running. And I will talk about the only thing. Remember, last time we did speak about the only thing, about what comes to your mind. And we'll keep doing these recaps when I say Google, for example, and you think of search engine. Despite Google has AdSense and Google also owns YouTube, but you don't say video when I say Google. You think of one thing associated with this man, and that is running. Now, he was Burundi's 400 and 800 meters champion, an Olympic prodigy, someone whose running was the best. And this man, unfortunately, was studying in a school when the civil war broke. The Hutsus and the Tutsis tribe are two rival fractions. And if you have another movie recommendation, I want to tell you, last time I told you about Shawshank Redemption. Today I'm telling you about Hotel Rwanda. Hotel Rwanda also talks about these two tribes. Like in Medina, you had the Aus and the Khajras. And they, the Aus and the Khazars, would fight one another. In Russia, Leo Tolstoy, a very nice story. They said that an entire war broke out because of an egg and a hen. Same way, the Hutsu tribe was attacked in his school. He was from the Hutsu, and what he could do, all he knew was that people were being killed, students were being beaten to death, and that is when Gilbert decided he knew one thing, that is to run. And he ran and ran and ran. That's all Gilbert knew, and Gilbert started running about. Amazingly, he ran for 9 hours until he was rescued. And when he was rescued, he was brought to Texas. He landed at United Nations, United States out there, and that is when he founded one of his dream organizations called the Gazelle Foundation. What was the organization's mission? It was run again, but here he was running for water. Gilbert decided he wanted to bring the communities together, the Hutu and the Tutsi, and he said, one thing that we all need in Africa is water. I just did an entire SDG goal number 6 called clean water and sanitation, and that is what we are talking about. There's an organization called Charity Waters. Gilbert is one of those organizers who said, I will run for water. And Gilbert taught his country, taught his fellow mates that let's come together, let's make a goal, and his goal was running. What are you running for? What is your big picture? Where do you see yourself? I know you all have a lot of passions. So there's an exercise I would like you to do. The exercise says that why don't you write down your three most important passions? I did this exercise 10 years back and I landed up where I am today. And I'm enjoying every part of it. In my exercise, I wrote down education, I wrote down children, I wrote down travel. And that's what I do. I go visit schools in different countries, in different parts of my own country. So I'm traveling, I'm associated with education, and also what I said, children, that's what schools are full of. So one of the things that so if you want to know me, I am all standing for children education and better improvement in school systems. What are you running for? You could be blogger, you could be chef, you could be coding. As I always say, don't become a consumer. Don't just sit down and play a Fortnite or a PUBG or make a TikTok video or an Insta reel. Go become a developer. Learn something. As much as you read the Percy Jacksons and the other books of Darussalam, I also want you to write down your own blogs, your thoughts, make a small video. That's what you are for. If your photography is a passion, buy a good DSL camera and take nature photography. Go and see where flamingos are. Go click on the squirrels out there. Go look into the eyes of the animal and tell the stories. This is what you are running for. What's your passion? Okay, to understand the big picture, let's look at some of the pictures out there. I told you about Google, isn't it? The first thing that you can think of when I think of Google is searches. What about this old gentleman out there? His name is Colonel Sanders. And what does Colonel Sanders teach you? Well, Colonel Sanders is for KFC chicken. And the moment I say KFC, you think of hot, fried, lovely chicken, right? You don't think of burgers. You don't think of the cone ice creams they give you. By the way, they serve that also. You think of chicken because that is one thing that he has stood for. Or what about Starbucks? Starbucks, the only thing that I can think of is not free Wi-Fi, but Starbucks is coffee. Starbucks has some amazing ambience. The sandwiches may be good. They have frappes and shakes. But one thing that and look at the logo, it says coffee as well. Or this amazing, what is it, Lamborghini or Porsche or BMW? All these organizations that you stand for, or Ferrari, it's a logo for, it stands for high-end luxury cars. So your one thing, make sure you're known for that one thing that you are talking about and you will succeed in life. So here's a little game for you. I want you to look at this picture and stare at, pause the video. Don't stare at more than 45 seconds. Well, I, of course, will take a little detour out there and I want you to look at the picture for 45 seconds, just analyze it, and that's about it. And because it's an online session, I will not pause. I already spoke for about 40 seconds. So probably you were hearing me. Hold on and forget about the picture. Let's go back to what we were discussing. I'll come to the picture a little while later, and there's a reason for that. So what are the goals that you set? Basic goal setting, right? As I say, sky is the limit. No goals too high for you, but you need to plan it well. So my goal is, there is a concept called short-term goal. Imagine I want to become the world's best photographer. Then I need to understand about lights. I need to understand about good photography. I may go on and say high resolution pictures. So there's a short-term goal. Of course, I need to buy a camera, start working on it, maybe an iPhone, maybe a DSL. And then there's intermediate goal. I participate in a lot of photography competitions. I start planning around it. I meet the photographers. And a long-term goal would be join an agency where photography or a National Geographic channel or something around, which is what my goal is all about. For example, my daughter, Jueria, he has a goal to be a scientist. So we said, okay, let's align the goals for her. So the short-term goal she had was invest in a good telescope or a prism or a magnifying glass. So have a lot of things that are around science. But because she's also interested in astronomy, we invested in good books. There are good DK books out there. And we talk about space and talk about supernova and stars and Nebula and Gamora from Thanos' world also. But besides the research, we said you have to be good in your science class. So she started becoming attentive. Her science class becoming better. But the intermediate goal was, after my graduation, I need to go to a good college, a good science college. Maybe be a part of a school team that visits the NASA. Look at NASA. What does NASA do? And the long-term goal would be, when I'll be proud, she sits with Elon Musk and perhaps goes on one of the SpaceX rockets and becomes a space scientist or an astronaut. Right? These are the goals. But does she have these goals written down? Well, I also encourage you to watch something on goals, right? Interstellar, maybe Gravity, Sandra Bullock's, right? Or Star Wars, something to also have a lighter version. But these are some amazingly intense space movies. So I said go space binging as well. Now, when you have a goal, is your goal written down? Because if your goal is not written down, perhaps you're not really having a goal. A goal which is just a articulated one is more like a wish. These are called sand castles in air. Here is a game that I told you, right? I asked you about the game. So go and pause yourself and write down in a list of paper or on a notepad, wherever you are, or a WhatsApp it to yourself. How many pictures did you see previously? Tell me the numbers. You forgot the numbers? How many can you recall? Oh, there was a rhinoceros. I know there was a laptop, a globe. There was a chameleon. I'm sure you have seen that. Was there a book, Vision 2020? Yes. Or a keychain or a football? Now, the key to a good goal setting is to remember this. And I didn't want you to just remember it as a memory game. I wanted you to remember it because if you have written these down, it makes it easier. And that is what I'm teaching you today. A goal is only a wish if it's not written down. For that matter, what did you do? When I asked you about the numbers, go back and do this game. If you haven't done it, again, stop. Did you get the Batmobile? Did you do the Amazon logo, the tank out there, the bucket, the calculator, so many things? I'll give you a better tip now. Now, you see, let's categorize this. If you have to understand goal setting, understand where your goal sets in. Is it a personal goal, an intellectual goal, a social goal? And I'll teach you as the sessions go ahead. If I were to categorize this goal into, say, animals, food, everyday item, something like this, vehicles, school related, it's easy for me now to remember. Oh, by the way, there were three animals: a chameleon, a Alsatian, and a rhino. There were at least four food items: the bread, the banana, the sandwich, the Pepsi. Everyday item like a watch, a keychain, a purse, or a bucket. Vehicle, I got four of them. I got school related thing, I got sports related thing, a cap, a football, and a tennis racket. Now suddenly it's very easy. I can calculate, I can count it down. So my last piece of advice to you is, this is important. Your goals need planners. Your goals need vision. And I think one of the most important thing I can teach you in a goal setting is you need to write your goals down. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us in Hadith Qudsi. A Hadith Qudsi is a hadith that is related, articulated by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the words are Allah's. And one of the most beautiful hadith which says, what is the first thing that Allah created? And in the Riwayah, it is mentioned, it is the pen, the kalam, isn't it? And then the pen asked Allah, Allah said to the pen, write. And the pen said, Ya Allah, what should I write? And Allah said, write down everything from the beginning of time to the end of time. Now, you don't need a Tony Robbins or Brendan Burchard or a Brian Tracy to tell you that goals need to be written down. The hadith is out there. It's there in the faith that you write down your goals. Allah has a pen to write down the goals for the universe. And I like the way to connect it because it is more powerful because you need to write down. You may ask, where should I write down, Dawood, sir? Email it to yourself, WhatsApp to your family, write it on a notebook, because write it in a way you can see your goal. Even after a year, if your long-term goals are there, you should be able to visualize, you should be able to see the goal, and that is what good goals are all about. So today, we learned a lot of things out there. We started with the old pictures of David and Goliath, the picture, but today, the hero of our session was Gilbert Duhaboy, the genocide survivor who started Gazelle Foundation. He taught us the importance of one thing and one thing only in life. I also taught you about importance of writing a goal down, not just from any management perspective, while it is a youth MBA program, but from the hadith part of it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first Quran's ayah revealed, the verse revealed, the surah revealed, Surah Al-Iqra is about reading, is about education. Allama al-insana Ma'alam ya'alam, taught man what he knew not. These are my goal setting programs. I hope you enjoyed. Give me your feedback and let me know what you enjoyed about it. My email address is here. You can reach out at the forums and the WhatsApp groups or my email. At the end of the day, I would love to see you share your ideas, write down your goals, and hope to see you for more sessions. Until then, thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.